Musically meditated.
Musically meditated. Musically meditated.
Welcome to Musically Meditated Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Riley, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. Tonight, I have a special guest. He's been here before. It's my dad. He also goes by the name Joe Riley. What's up?
Hey,
How you
going
doing?
on? I'm ready.
That's where I got my name. First and foremost, if you missed it or if you forgot, go back to our ticket stub episode. Remember that one? We did that about 6 months ago. Remember that?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, I loved every bit of it. I still have all the stubs, and there's a lot of 77 in those stubs.
A lot of 77.
Yeah, that was a great year.
It was a great year, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We are going to talk about 1977, like that particular year, and go over the albums that my dad loved, hates, maybe enjoyed a little bit later, some forgotten ones that are big now, like some of the punk and heavy metal stuff, some of your concert experiences, and then we're also going to talk about Dad's passion, which is painting murals. And behind me here that you could see, he just painted this awesome Musically Meditated mural on a piece of wood that Stretton gave us. Shout out to Stretton.
Stret.
And you've been doing it for a while, but we'll get into that more towards the end, just to hook and fish everybody along so they listen and then go back. But that's his passion, and that's what you want to do in the future,
that's
right?
my favorite thing to do, yeah. Well, one of my favorite things.
What's the other one? It's not PC. All right. First and foremost, Musically Meditated Podcast is available on all podcast listening platforms, also YouTube. So, like I said, if you're coming back to revisit, I'm sure we have a lot of friends and family that are going to listen to this. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, anything and everything. So please hit that subscribe button, share it, rate it, give it a 5-star rating, make a comment. That stuff's really important for our analytics. So it can't be that really hard for you to share something. So please do that. You know, like on Facebook, right, Dad? I mean, come on.
Yeah, you know,
Help
I'm a
us
big
out.
Facebook.
You're a Facebook guy.
No, it's like a creeper.
You creep
I'm
on
a
Facebook?
Yeah, I'm a creeper Facebook guy. Yeah, I actually was told to get off of Facebook. I don't know why. Then I just kind of like creep on my wife's, but that's a story for another episode.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
Another
Little creepage.
Little creepage podcast episode. But so what we're going to do is just jump into 1977 and the records that came out that were big to you, right, Dad?
Oh yeah, I was 16 years old, and music was everything to us. All the guys, everybody, and Chicago had the best concerts that year. I was 16 years old. All you did is buy tickets to go to shows, and they had the Super Bowl of rock, and they had Elvis was in town. I'm talking Frank Sinatra. There's just stuff that we didn't think was the cat's ass, but everybody that's anybody in my day came to Chicago that year, from the Grateful Dead to Elvis Presley to Led Zeppelin to Pink Floyd, name it, Leonard Skinner, they were there. Everybody. So
It's just a great year for rock and roll.
oh, unbelievable, man. I mean, just looking back, I've been thinking about it all day, well, all week actually, kind of looking on the internet, on the phone. It's like, man, they're still playing these songs now, you know, and people are loving them. So that
Speaks for itself.
yeah,
Definitely speaks
test of time.
the test of time. And like there's a term now, dad rock, no disrespect, but it's like that classic rock, the classic rock feel or the classic rock sound.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of these albums, obviously, when I was growing up, you were jamming on a regular basis.
Exactly.
You know,
hey, I'd rather be called Dad Rock than Man Bun.
yeah, no man buns, right?
Ain't no man bun here, brother.
No. Thanks for not raising me to ever actually
Have
grow
a man bun? Yeah, that's right.
I don't think that would have been acceptable. But looking back too, like with you listening to a lot of different music and Mom as well, you guys were cool parents because you gave me the opportunity to grow musically on my own.
I agree, man. I mean, we played a lot, and before we came here tonight, I put on some of my old faves, and Mom just like rolled her eyes. But you know, some songs really pump you up, and reminds me of some good times. And man, there was such good music back then, from A to Z, good stuff, man. A to Z.
Good shit, good stuff. But yeah, I appreciate that because I think like maybe you could have the training wheels on, looking at it that way, like musically, like here, this is what I'm listening to, and then you take the training wheels off and just let your kid explore on their own, right?
Absolutely, man. When I was growing up, it wasn't that much. We kind of got into it with ourselves, but when you were growing up, there's always music on. There was always music, and we loved it, and we love it to this day. And our basement's full of drums and guitars and microphones and PA systems, and it's just all about it. It gives you a good feeling. I never work. I'm going to be 60 years old. I never work without music playing, and that motivates me. Music is a motivator.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, always. Where's the tunes at, right?
Yeah, where's the tunes? Oh, we don't have music. Well, okay, we're over. This is over, you know?
Yeah, the job's done, then we can't work here.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I've always been. Some lady one time told me, like, what do you mean? You're not going to work if you don't have your radio? I'm like, that's right, lady. You know? It's easier now, too, because you got the telephone. You know, my phone, I could play anything from Spotify or Pandora. Back in the old days, it was actually like holding the bunny wires up and hoping you get some good stuff. And now it's just totally different, and for the good, you know.
For the good, but there's like I know when I talk to you and Mom, it's like, hey, people just want to listen to what they want to listen to now. And that's kind of hard for you guys to accept because you are the radio generation, and so am I. But with podcasting and how you can stream music, it kind of takes the fun out of discovering new music. Because back then, it was all radio.
Right, XRT was the big one back then, and we had the one out in Crown Point, and that was just kind of a lot of classic rock. But it's the same songs now that it was then. And but you know, I always like to listen to new stuff, just if I like it or not, just to get a feel for it. But like anything else, they'll play it to death, man.
They will. And there's some stuff here that we'll talk about that it's been played to death.
That I don't like.
That you don't like.
I never liked it, even when it was liked. I didn't like it. So
the whole don't like what you like segment will come up, and we're going to get a little negative just for everyone, and
a little hate.
Just a little hate, but just
Friday hate.
It's Friday hate. It's the weekend. We're happy to be here, and nothing personal when we get on that shit list of things that we hate.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be some songs that people are like, I can't believe that guy doesn't like that. Oh, I don't like him now because he doesn't like it. You know what? I don't care, man. Right?
Right.
There's some stuff that I don't like, and I never liked it. I never will.
This is your moment, Dad. You just get it off your chest.
All right, then.
All that cheap trick shit.
I hate it, man. I hate it. Sticks, cheap trick. Don't get me started, man.
Well, we'll get there. But no, like I said, 1977, the radio had to play a big influence on your taste back then. That's all I could think. And we're going to start with the first album here. I remember this in heavy rotation growing up. It's Lynyrd Skynyrd's Street Survivors.
Oh, yeah, man. That was good stuff.
Southern rock. It was released October 17th, 1977.
It was their last album. The album cover had them like all on fire. But that's the year that they got killed. So they changed the album cover that nothing's on fire, you know.
They're just standing there.
Yeah, they're just standing there. But, man, that was a great album. They were really, really top notch. And they played in the Super Bowl of Rock in Chicago that year. It was Skynyrd and Nugent. It was the third Super Bowl of Rock. And they rocked the house. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable show.
And they were always, known for and really good at combining the Southern and the rock and roll.
Oh, yeah. And Southern rock was really big back in '77. It really took off. Marshall Tucker, Allman Brothers, Skynyrd. But Skynyrd was more rock and roll, I mean, Southern rock, but more
rock.
A little bit rockier,
Not too country.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was my favorite of them all,
A little bit more raw, too.
Right, yeah. It was just, you just listen to them all the time. Ask Mom.
Yeah, Mom hates him. Hey, Mom. Mom hates Lynyrd Skynyrd. I just remember forever you listening to Lynyrd Skynyrd my whole life, especially Give Me Back My Bullets. I think that album came out in '76. Yeah. This came out in '77, but remember when we went through it, it's like Give Me Two Steps. Like this, every song's a jam.
They burned them out. Yeah, they really did. And Pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd, I think, was their first album. And just pull that up out of the archives sometimes and just listen to that. And you'll say, wow, that was their first album,
Yeah, this album peaked at number 5, the band's first top 5 album. Like I said, What's Your Name, Little Girl?
Yeah.
That's the main single, and That Smell is also from this.
Yeah, sad. It's sad that that's the year that they, I think that's the year that they plane went down, and
what's the story on that?
Well, the word was they had a shitty plane that ran out of gas, It went down. I mean, come on, dude,
It's not funny, but
God,
Nobody-
that's totally rock and roll. Don't worry about it, dude. It's okay. Hey, I don't think we got gas. It says E. We're fine.
Yeah, like nobody was reading the gauge, or the
I
gauge
don't
broke.
know. I guess it was a shitty plane, obviously. But
But dude survived too. Not everybody
yeah.
died.
Oh yeah, a couple guys lived.
How about that? Like, survive a plane crash?
Yeah, I saw like a special on Leonard Skinner, and there was a couple guys that survived, and they talked about it. It's like, wow. But all those guys that survived, like now, I think Rossington Collins, both of those guys are. I think they're both like. I think the Collins guy's dead, or I mean, it wasn't pretty after the plane crash. They tried to make it, but
Just really didn't
after you
work
take dive in a plane, you can imagine how bad you feel. So it was sad times, but that album before the sad times was phenomenal.
Yeah.
They really took off. That was if they would have stayed a little bit longer, God knows what they would write. Ronnie Van Zant was killer writer.
He was the shit. He was the
Writing
man.
is everything.
It is. It is. All right, man. Good old Leonard Skinner. That always will forever remind me of you. Now moving on to Eric Clapton's Slow Hand. This is another one, too. You guys gave me all your old records.
Slow Hand, yeah.
And looking through, Slow Hand was just that album cover. Wherever I've gone to different record stores, Slow Hand is always available.
Yeah, you know what, Slow Hand, it was kind of like going through another phase. And unfortunately for me, it's sometimes Slow Hand now, it reminds me like a wedding,
Right.
One of those. But
It's kind of like Moving On, Dad Rock, right? Like
yeah,
moving to the next level.
Thank God they got that cocaine song on the album.
Yeah, cocaine's on there, right?
But I did see that concert that year in Chicago, and it was really good. But I was just a big Clapton fan always. I know that's not your favorite guy, but
No, I
just
like
think,
Clapton. What are you saying, man?
I think he's good, man. I think he's a good writer. I think that documentary I saw on him, I think he got some bad luck in his life, and he's turned it all around. I mean, he's a mega billionaire, but I mean, just he had like a real shitty life, But man, could he write? Derek and the Dominoes, and then he was solo.
Cream.
I think Cream.
Cream's my favorite era of Clapton.
Yeah, and I mean, but then he went through the little period where
Drugs.
when he whatever that stuff is, and then he came back with Slow Hand, But boy, that's
This
what
is
he
it.
did. Yeah, that was 77. I can't believe that album came out in 77.
I feel like it's saying here it had like some sonic, like fuzzy, guitar sounds.
Yeah.
There was a lot of references to, abusing bottles of bourbon, Camels, hefty bags of cocaine. A lot of talk of China White. Just all kinds of drugs and shit
I
here.
can't believe he lived through it. He's still alive to this day.
Yeah, he is. He's the man.
That's pretty cool.
He's the Fender. He always reminds me of Fender
Yeah.
Strats. Clapton is Mr. Fender Stratocaster, right?
I saw him. Yeah,
I mean, I know he used other things, but
yeah, he does always have this Fender. Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, two Fender boys.
remember we were watching that documentary
Jeff
about
Beck.
him. Yeah, Jeff Beck.
A Fender guy. Seems like Fender's more rock and roll.
It's an argument forever. I mean, come on, Gibson, Les Paul, or the SG.
I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, you throw the guys on the, on the Gibson side. You throw the guys on the Fender side. I can't play either one, but I'm a badass air guitar guy, and I don't know. I kind of strap up that Gibson, or no, that
Fender.
That Fender.
You're more of a Fender guy.
kind of. I'd say, yeah,
All right, they're lighter,
kind of cooler. I don't know, just
cool body style.
kind of American to me more.
Yeah, American-made Strats. That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
USA.
USA. Now we're gonna go into Bowie here. Move on to Bowie. We Can Be Heroes. Low was the other album. And what else came out? There was something else, but what was Bowie like for you late 70s? Still into him, or you more a Ziggy Stardust
man, I'm
guy?
a Ziggy Stardust guy. Really, I think he kind of, in my opinion, he kind of went commercial. And I can't believe it's in 77 he went to commercial, but he did. But one thing about Bowie, man, he changed all the time, and he changed pretty good. I think he had a live album right after that. My brother was a big Bowie guy, and he really changed it up. He didn't care what you thought, and
He did his own
Man.
thing. He could, you know what
Yeah.
was really cool about Bowie? We also watched that together recently, too, like one of his documentaries. Remember, it was the Black Star thing?
yeah, that was
But
cool.
they went through every era of Bowie because his discography is long and huge. I mean, there could be a podcast just on Bowie and his different albums. Like,
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's how big his discography is. But the 70s era of Bowie was when he kind of cleaned up his act, remember? And he moved to Berlin. Mm-hmm. And that's when he was doing a lot of shit experimenting with, like, Iggy Pop and the Stooges. Like, Bowie, in my opinion, had a big
punk rock.
Like
yeah.
he accepted
He was
it
the
and
go-to guy, you know.
and made it commercial. He made it more acceptable by messing around with dudes like Iggy Pop.
Yeah, he was kind of like punk rock before it was cool.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, he didn't care, and people were like, "What the hell's that weirdo?" But the songs were good. It's all about the songs, if they're good or not. I mean, good songs are good songs. You like it or not, music shows no prejudice, you know?
Absolutely.
And David Bowie was
the guy.
a genius, in my
Total
opinion.
genius. But this was that era, too. Like, I see the word Kraftwerk here, Brian Eno. He's just bringing in a lot of different elements of, like, krautrock, German rock. Kraftwerk was, like, German techno. You know, like, he would dilly.
Yes, this is techno.
Come on, man. I'm just saying, Bowie's the man.
Yeah.
But that's it.
I'm not a big techno guy, but yeah.
But he would. What I'm saying is, he would cross all kind of
throw it in
genres.
there. Yeah, let's throw it
do
against
it.
the wall and bounce it off. Yeah,
See what happens, and it always stuck. It seemed
and
like
didn't care what anyone thought. You know,
not at all.
and then you'd come up with songs that were killer.
Total killer. Now let's move on to the Talking Heads '77.
Oh man, that album just. I think it was in the summer, man. That for about a year, that was all you heard on the radio. And that's all we had back then was radio.
Psycho Killer.
Oh yeah, that was, that was awesome.
I feel like with Talking Heads, I love them. I like them a lot, but they're kind of forgotten. I don't think that they've gotten the proper respect that they deserve. Do you think so?
You know what? I don't know them that much. I just kind of know the regular songs. I didn't follow them like a Bowie or a Leonard Skinner or Zeppelin stuff, but I kind of like it, But they really had their piece in '77, and I liked it.
You did.
Did I ever buy the album? I think my brother did.
Okay.
But, it had an 8-track, but I mean, I just it wasn't my first one I'm going to grab, but I sure like listening to it.
Let's do that right now. Like the 8-track thing. That was a big '70s thing.
That's all they had, man. 8-tracks. Well, they came out with cassettes, but everybody had an 8-track. It was the biggest, about 2 packs of cigarettes, and you slam it in. It had like 4 tracks, and there'd be a song playing, and then all of a sudden it would change tracks, so you had to be like jam, 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 and then stop for a second, then start jamming again. That's all you had, man. But it was cool.
And the dudes that had it in their car were like the cool guys.
The guys, yeah, the guys.
The guys.
And then your 8-track would be like, it's not playing well, so you'd stick a pack of matches underneath it. So if you stuck a pack of matches underneath it, like lift it up, and it would still play. It's like, yeah.
How was the sound for an 8-track?
I loved it, man.
good?
It was great, I mean, the best we had at the time, but then all of a sudden the cassettes came in, and I don't know. 8-track was bigger, so it was kind of cool because it still had like the album cover stamped on it. So that's why I liked 8-tracks better than cassettes. Cassettes were better playing and all that crap, but had to have that 8-track, man.
Cool. Very cool. Let's move on now to Pink Floyd Animals, a 1977 release. Shout out to Mom. That's like her favorite Pink Floyd album. Makes me think about her, all the time if it comes on. I mean, I know it's not their biggest radio-friendly record, but there was a big theme here with Roger Waters comparing politicians to swine, to pigs, and they were also really obsessed with George Orwell's Animal Farm.
Yeah, I read that book. We had to read it in high school.
So,
I hated to read it. I didn't want to read it, but after you read it, it was like, it was
it's a
great.
great book.
You read it too in high school?
Yeah. Well, I don't. Sometime.
Well, yeah, back in high school, we had to read it.
High
I don't know
school,
where to read
college.
this crap out. For some reason, instead of like doing what I usually did, read the back of it and had someone else do the homework, I actually read it. And after I read it, man, this is great, man. It was pretty cool, I didn't know it had reference to that.
Yeah, and they were saying it was Stalin, like kind of comparing Stalinism to capitalism and like the social climate and the landscape of the late '70s England. So there was more behind it than just the flying around, like you said, with the live show, like the big. They had different
the pig
animals,
and the
right?
dog and yeah.
What was it, like a blow up, like a?
Yeah, they were like Thanksgiving parade, man.
So bad.
It was so cool. Then at the end, they exploded.
Really?
Yeah. And the thing was like right over your head where you could almost barely touch it. Well, I felt that way anyway. And you almost touched the pig, man. And then it like drifted away. And then boo-boo! It was like blew it
Blew
up.
up? Where did you see him at? Where was that?
It was at the stadium. Or no, it was at Soldier Field, 1977. I think it might have been in June. The second of the three Super Bowl rocks.
Now let's move on to Queen. News of the World. what do you think about "We Will Rock You"? I mean, was that like the anthem of the summer that year, or what?
No, it really wasn't. I think that was the album after Bohemian Rhapsody, wasn't it? I think it was, and it was. I don't know. People were starting to get burned out on them. I felt after their third album, I was burned out. I heard that I wasn't a big fan of that Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think it was Bohemian Rhapsody. And then they had the one we're talking about. Then they had Day at the Races. Both those albums are the same as the Marx Brothers movies. There's a movie called Day at the Races and Bohemian Rhapsody or something like, the same genre. I mean, not the same genre, but the same name. So I don't know what the correlation is.
Well, News of the World is that I'll never forget it digging through your guys' records. It's the one with like that weird...
The robot dude.
The robot guy, and he's holding them all in his hand, and there's like blood. They're all like dead and weird shit. But come on, man. We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. It's like Queen's biggest songs.
Well, yeah.
But you weren't a fan.
No, I like the first three albums. After that, I don't like any.
Right. And you did not care for the movie either.
I did not.
All right. So Queen 1, 2, and 3.
That's the only ones I like.
All right. We'll move on from Queen 1977. Why did you have I think there was like multiple copies of that album.
I don't know.
What was the Queen experience again, really quick? Like you got the ticket. Was this that year?
Oh, that was that year, 77. I had tickets to see Queen. Thin Lizzy was backing them up, right? I was so pumped up, but the weather was so bad we didn't make it.
Yeah. Everybody go back to that episode, the ticket stub episode.
Yeah, go back to the stub episode and you hear me crying.
You can hear him crying, but you didn't like the album that came out in 77. Or maybe did you like it then? That's the question.
A couple of the songs.
Did you like We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You? Or did you think it was gimmicky?
I think they sold out by that time. Like I said, the first three albums, listen to the first three, and then after you tell me what you think after that.
I like Queen 1 and 2, but you've also raised me that way.
Yeah, 1 and 2 and 3.
Right.
Listen to them.
Now,
Listen.
Now we'll move on to AC/DC, Let There Be Rock.
Oh, man.
This was their fourth studio album, Australian hard rock band. Yeah, I guess at this time, too, is when the band was going to break up, the whole rock and roll story, like they were at their worst. But it was also the album that had Mike Evans on bass for their last time.
Mike Evans. I still had Bon Scott, though, singing.
It was
right?
Bon Scott, absolutely.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was kind of a hillbilly Hobart dude thing, We liked that AC/DC, man.
AC/DC.
We rock and roll, drinking some Stroh's beer that we stole from our parents' house and sitting there by Lake George, twisting one up and listening to goddamn AC/DC. And we'd wrestle, and, it's like...
Wrestle, getting some fights.
It was a Friday night, 14, 15, 16-year-old music.
There we go. You know what I looked at this too. Bon Scott, I thought like he died early off. Like I thought I forgot how he died, but I thought he was like only on the first two albums. I really didn't know
He was around a while.
5 out before the other guy filled his
I
shoes.
think he fell asleep with a little vomit in his mouth.
Ooh.
Dead.
Dead. Bon Scott dead.
But the next guy is a pretty good singer too.
He is.
I like the good rock and roll voice.
The most notable singles from that is Dog Eat Dog, Let There Be Rock, and Whole Lotta Rosie. Those are good riffage. Good riffage going on there.
Some of the best 3-chord jams there are, ain't it?
Ever, for sure.
Ever.
That's one of those.
I listen to it now. You go to the Bears game, what do you hear?
AC/DC.
You hear some of that crap, and then you hear that.
White Sox too. Remember it was
White
Thunder.
Sox, Thunder.
Every time.
Yeah. All right, man. I mean, really,
It's true.
Stood the test of time. This is what, 1977? You weren't born until what?
83.
83.
Yeah.
I mean, man, still,
We're talking about him right now.
we're not listening to him in the elevator, dude, okay?
True. Good call. AC/DC was like one of my favorite bands when I was a kid, but I just kind of grew out of them. The one that you always turn me on to is Maximum Overdrive. Remember they did the entire soundtrack for the movie?
Yeah, I just watched it not too long ago. That lawnmower running dudes over. All the machines came alive. Yeah, I love that album.
It was great.
That wasn't one of their big ones.
That's like my favorite one.
Ain't it? Yeah.
Hell's Bells is on that, right?
And there's seems like there's a lot more instrumental on that album than not,
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
You turned me on to that. So thanks.
Anytime. Anytime.
Thanks. So now let's move on to your favorite, man. You said this was your summer go-to, Fleetwood Mac Rumors. If it's 1977, you have to talk about Fleetwood Mac.
I mean, it
Rumors.
was it. That was like everywhere and everything. I wasn't a big Fleetwood Mac guy, but I'll give them their respect. I really do. I mean, man, that's all you heard, and it wasn't my thing, man. Kind of easy listening, and at 1977, being 16 years old, the stuff we were doing, we were listening to Fleetwood Mac. You know what I mean?
Right. That was all about
Let's just put it that way.
relationship
Yeah.
turmoil.
Yeah. So now we weren't there yet.
You guys were not there.
No, we were swimming at the clay pits.
Yeah, doing fun stuff.
Yeah, burning tires.
All right. On to some honorable mentions here. Thin Lizzy, the album was Bad Reputation.
Oh yeah.
And the big song from that was Dancing by the Moonlight.
Oh, man, I can't believe that they wrote that song, I really like. There's another group that Music Shows No Prejudice, the singer. Yeah. Man, he was a great writer, great singer. I just listened to some of that Thin Lizzy stuff, and it's like, at the time, it was like, they tried to, they had that The Boys Are Back in Town type crap. They tried to burn it up on the radio, but if you really knew Thin Lizzy, you knew the good stuff, and they had some good stuff.
Did they ever come around?
Yeah, well, they were with Queen, backing Queen up on that tour in '77.
So you were able to
No,
see...
I wasn't, because I didn't make the concert.
Oh, yeah, that's
Thanks.
right.
Go ahead and stick me with the knife again, bro.
So you missed not only
that one.
Queen, but
and Thin Lizzy. Yeah, I was never able to see him, and
pour a little salt in the wound. Damn, that sucks.
Okay,
and then
dude.
Phil passed
Stabbed.
away. And
dead.
all right, we'll move on to Rainbow. And that album was on stage, so it was their live album. Let's hear some Rainbow
Richie
shit.
Blackmore.
You're a
He was
Rainbow guy.
unbelievable. I mean, we're talking Deep Purple's main dude. Came to, it might have been the amphitheater. My buddy Buckwheat got the tickets, and we went there. And hell, man, it was, you know how the amphitheater is, standing room only.
I do not, but it holds like, what, 1,500 people, maybe 2,000?
Oh, yeah, it's bigger than that. It was giant for us,
Okay.
And, no seat, or just first come, first serve. And it was Rainbow and Cheap Trick. And it was a Rainbow crowd, man. Everyone was pumped up to see Rainbow. Then you're looking around, it's like, hey, maybe this ain't a Rainbow crowd. The Rainbow came on first.
They opened for Cheap Trick?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
So they were open for Cheap Trick, and at that time, I honest to God, it was a Rainbow crowd, and they let Cheap Trick know it was a Rainbow crowd. Let's just put it to you that way.
What happened? A lot of booze?
No, they really didn't have booze back then in the inside, but they were throwing whatever you can throw. I
Really?
felt like, it was pretty intense. But everybody was there to see Rainbow, and they played for an hour,
Wow.
And then the next group was Cheap Trick, Mommy's All Right crap,
Yeah, I'm not a big Cheap Trick.
Hate. Put that on the hate note there.
Oh, we'll
but
get
I
to
mean,
your
Richie
hate
Blackmore,
moments.
he was Deep Purple,
And what
he
was-
wrote Smoke on the Water.
Yeah,
man,
he's like the guy.
the dude, and the
dude.
singer is like, that's like, I don't know. They
Wasn't it
were
Dio?
good. Yeah,
Dio?
Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
he's
was
like
the
the
singer.
singer.
He was the man, I think he's dead.
Yeah,
But,
shout out to Dio.
He was
R.I.P.
great, rock and roll voice of voices.
Remember when he joined Sabbath too, the later half? I like that
Yeah,
shit.
I liked some of it, but, I'm an old Ozzy guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Metal style, 1977. We have Judas Priest, Sin After. It's their second album. Their best song was Race with the Devil. I remember you asked, like, hey, what's the album cover look like? It's kind of like not a graveyard, but a mausoleum or something.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that album.
It was heavy. And then the Scorpions, Taken by Force. I know you're a big Scorpions
Love
dude.
the Scorps, yeah. I've never saw him in concert. I had an opportunity to see him a few times, but it was later in life. But looking back at it, man.
They were as heavy as it got back then.
Yeah,
right?
that was
like
was
them and Judas Priest were the heavy metal bands.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, talking heavy metal, looking back, yeah. Judas Priest, Scorpions were major heavy. They had like 10 guitar dudes, they had like 3 guitars, German guys, and they were just, yeah, they were great, man. They were really, really, like you say, heavy metal in its day. That would be it.
And here is Motorhead, self-titled Motorhead. I know you like them now, but back then, was anybody jamming Motorhead in your circle?
No, I don't think so. Maybe 1 or 2 songs, but I couldn't tell you any songs that I heard of them. Wasn't that Lemmy guy was
Yeah,
in
it's
Motorhead?
Lemmy, yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. No.
And like it wasn't even on the radio back then either, was
Oh,
it?
absolutely not. No, that'd be kind of an underground. I don't know why, because they have a couple songs that, I know that song,
Oh yeah.
But
The Ace of Spades, dude. I hope you know that,
yeah.
or you can leave leave the studio.
I'll leave if I don't know that. I got the shirt, dude. I like it.
We might
Lemmy's
have-
rocks.
Might have to ask you to go.
I mean, they played 100,000 outside crowds before, and I don't know why it just didn't hit Hillbilly Hobart at that time.
Yeah, just a little bit ahead of its time, maybe a little bit too British.
Yeah, true.
Probably.
I don't know how much they toured in the United States back then either.
I'm glad you brought that up. We had Big Jay Gavelik on the podcast. Everybody go back and check that episode out. But Jay said that Motorhead was opening for Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz, that early Ozzy stuff with Randy Rhoads. I'm like, what?
Back then, huh?
Back then, that's like early 80s, like 83,
Really?
82. Yeah, that's what Jay said.
Huh?
But maybe it took a little bit. This is 77. It took a while for Motorhead.
Yeah, this is 77. Yeah, Lemmy was just probably growing his hair by then.
Just doing a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Motorhead, that's where it comes from. Now I'll do an honorable mention of huge punk albums that came out at the time. But like you also said on our last episode, punk was also
taboo.
A genre that was taboo. Like, what was going on?
I don't know, man. Like you said, I said before, we'd go down to Bloomington and the guys would be dressed up with purple faces and wigs on and stuff, and being the Hobart boys, like we were a little kind of rednecky, we just attack them, It's like for no reason. Like, what the hell's wrong with those guys? Beat them up.
Just kind of scared.
Yeah, kind of scared. Yeah, no, we're scared.
Like, fear of
fight or flee. So we just fought, and they didn't really want to. But looking back, there's some good music,
right?
Great music.
Because now, like you said, you appreciate more punk than ever.
Yeah, because Ramones and I wasn't really much into that.
Sex Pistols, The Clash.
The Clash, though, I like that.
Because that's what I was going to go into. In 1977, The Clash self-titled came out.
Yeah, I never heard it back then, to be honest with you.
Was that, yeah, like, that's always on XRT in the radio now. Like, The Clash is loved by everyone and everything, and they should be. I love The Clash. They're huge for punk, but back then...
in 77, no. I didn't, and we were music fanatics,
Your circle was not jamming
That's
The
crazy.
Clash.
Yeah, we didn't jam The Clash, but now I really love it. And sorry about those guys that we roughed up because they were ahead of their time too.
Absolutely. And then what about the Sex Pistols? Nevermind the Bullocks came out.
Nah, I
Nobody
wasn't
was
a big
jamming
Sex guy. I forget they sung some they to the King song or something.
Yeah.
I didn't like the guy.
The Antichrist.
I didn't like the guy. He's kind of like a little wormy dude.
Johnny Rotten. And
yeah, I didn't like the guy at all.
Yeah, he went out of his way to make you not like.
Right,
like
yeah,
him.
and that's what it was supposed to be like, I guess,
Not to get-
anti-establishment.
Anti-establishment is punk.
Yeah, but I mean, the Who was just supposed to be anti-establishment in their day, but they had good music, This was more,
It's just
my
raw.
opinion, it wasn't,
Okay. How about another honorable mention was Marquee Moon Television. I feel like these guys, I found out about them because of the internet. There's a lot of bands that have had like have been reestablished, and people are appreciating them more because of the fact of the internet. Like, hey, these dudes were crossing different boundaries genre wise, like, elements of punk and prog rock and jazz. But yeah, Marquee Moon Television, I showed it to you today. You're like, I never heard
I
this
never
shit.
even heard of it until today.
And that's cool too.
That's 77, right?
Yeah.
Where are they at today? Just
I don't know. I just know it's like one of those albums that came up on every list when I was looking up.
It's crazy, man.
I started listening to them, and I like the Television album, just because of the internet. Like, hey, check these dudes out, and I did. And it's like, oh, this is some good
And
stuff.
I will too myself. Hey, good is good.
Yeah, what's good is good. Now, let's move on a little bit. Yeah, let's move on to, I forgot one more. Bob Marley, Exodus.
Oh man, Buckwheat, a good friend of mine. We always used to like Bob Marley, even back then, and we just loved the reggae. We were kind of reggae before it was cool. But I looked up today. Bob Marley did come to Chicago in '77. I didn't know that until today because I was like looking
shit
77
up.
stuff, and man, I would like to see him. I mean, that guy was just almost more than a musician. He was like a god, like a he's
An icon, even then.
yeah, I mean, even then, man, he just like brought people together, and I guess in his country they were gonna have like a civil war, and he kind of like smoked a few lefties, pulled them out of his head, and everything was cool,
Yeah, but he was that shit on the radio back then too, like
Well,
Exodus and
Yeah, I remember Buckwheat and myself. We liked reggae, and he was reggae back then. Then we get some old stuff that was him back. He could like listen to an album back in the 20s. Like that was him. And we had a few albums like that.
the old ones that were like thick porcelain looking things.
I mean, it was like that's reggae. That was Bob Marley. Then you had the other Peter Tosh and those guys too. But
That was his bass player in the Wailers.
yeah, so I mean, it was we liked it, but I mean, it was big following.
It was even back then.
Yeah, but I don't we liked it, but not around here. It wasn't as big as you'd think.
Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, let's go to the show.
No. I mean, we didn't even know he came to Chicago.
Wow. All right. Now let's transition into your most hated bands. I have
Oh
a little
yeah,
list here.
let's get down.
And this was big. 1977 was big for disco, and I don't know if you're a big disco guy.
Hate disco. Hated it. Hate it now. Always hated it.
And Saturday Night Fever was
Hate.
the album. What was the difference? Like, was there you're a disco guy, you're a metal dude?
Oh yeah. It was like disco stuff, and after that, actually, that movie kind of made it. Disco was cool, but it wasn't cool, dude. Guys, like if you lived back then, you would not have been a disco guy. I mean, there were disco people and there were not disco people. Only time you listened to disco if you went to a wedding reception. But I mean,
Did you ever dance to any disco at a wedding reception?
Yes, I have.
Oh.
drunken dance. Well, I danced to everything at a wedding reception, But
We're not here to judge. We're
yeah,
just
right.
wondering.
But Saturday Night Live, after it came out, it was just disco everywhere, and I hated it. And then they had that like disco demolition in Soldiers Field.
it was
They
at
blew
Comiskey,
them up.
wasn't it?
Yeah, they blew them all up. But that was the end of disco.
It was literally the end of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's cool that it happened on the south side at Comiskey Park.
Absolutely.
And Randy and Debbie were there. Shout out to Randy and Debbie.
Yeah, I remember that. You want to go? I go, nah, I don't want to go to that disco. I hate disco shit.
You were too cool for it?
Disco demolition. No, I don't do that shit. It ends up, it was like never forgettable, But no, disco I hated. Back in '77, it was big. It was big. But
You never went in any like disco clubs?
no.
Okay.
No, if you were a disco guy, you were a dick.
The shit is,
Let's just put it to you bluntly. You were an
shit
idiot.
is still like
It's still, yeah, it's still
you
like
still stand
lemon.
by this hard.
Yeah. It's like union or not union, Okay, I'm a union guy. Disco's non-union. all
Yeah,
right?
so
So
we don't-
That's
we
how
don't
much
mess with you.
Yeah, let's don't play that game.
All right, we'll move on to your next favorite singer songwriter on the hate list here. Mr. Billy Joel, The Stranger, came out that year.
God, I don't know what the hell happened to people. Listen to that guy, man. I don't see how they put him in a rock and roll genre or nothing.
You didn't even think he was a good songwriter?
Suck. Suckage. I can't stand the guy. I don't like the way he looks. He's a little wormy dude. Actually, where I work, I actually saw him personally, like walking. He's just a little mousy dude, man.
Did you
I
like
don't
think
it.
about like tackling him for a second?
Well, yeah, it was like subconsciously, like right now, I'm looking at this little wrestler dude here. It's like, yeah, I'd like to. I don't know. I don't like him at all.
Okay, you're not a Billy Joel fan.
Ever.
Let's move on.
We got Virginia.
Let's move on to Heart. I
Hate,
like Heart. Why do you
hate.
hate Heart so much?
I don't know. I just don't like it. Barracuda, Oh man, I hate it. Hate.
Okay, we'll move on to Meatloaf.
That's another hatred.
No.
He wears
Bat
so
Outta Hell?
stupid. I can't stand it. He wears a stupid shirt, fluffy sleeves, and he stands there. "Hey, the beating of my heart." It's like he's an icon. Everybody, I never knew anybody who liked him. If there's anybody that likes Meatloaf, let me know. Because I never met anyone who liked the son of a bitch.
Well, dude, he was like, that album was, when I was looking this up, 1977, it's like up there.
I don't know anyone in '77 that liked them either. Probably hung around with the disco dicks.
Jackson Brown,
Yeah,
Running on Empty.
I ran out of gas as soon as I listened to him. He's always kind of a whiny crybaby. I hate like whiny whine. I think his wife died or something. He never got over it.
Okay, Donna Summer.
Hate.
But you did say you parked a lot of cars this summer?
Oh, yeah.
You're let's hear that story.
Not a summer car parker. Yeah, at the Holiday Star opened up. I think it was back then, and got a job thinking I would like sneak into the concerts after. I got a job there parking cars, but that was not to be because she was like big time, and there's millions of cars to park, and
A problem.
a problem. And Donna Summers she was big. I mean, in '77, she was big. I'm trying to think of one of her songs now.
I don't know. she's on here. She had a big song, and weren't you parking cars? Like, wasn't it like the Super Bowl too? Wasn't there like a Super Bowl thing when you were?
Oh
doing
yeah, actually the only Super Bowl I ever missed, I was parking cars for some frickin' show. I think of the Rams and the Steelers, whatever year that was. That might have been 78, 79. And I asked every person, the score. These idiots didn't know. It was probably a Donna Summers concert or Billy Joel or some shit.
All right, here's your favorite and my favorite. I think you just put this, I don't know, you just brainwashed me, but Cheap Trick. They're self-titled and in color.
I don't know why I hate him. I hate him. I don't like that one dick he's got that little visor. He like flips his visor up.
I don't like it.
Mommy's all right. Daddy's all right. God, I hate a passionate hate for that group, man. I don't know. I think I'd rather listen to Barry frickin' Manilow than that crap.
Than Cheap Trick?
Yeah, and then the guy was trying to. I had a buddy who's like showing me a few songs that didn't sound too bad, but as soon as they start singing, man, I just can't stand it. Got that mousy ass guy, and then they got some blondie dude too. It's like, get out of here.
All right, next, Styx.
Styx is another group that I hate.
The Grand Illusion.
Grand Illusions. I got a buddy who goes, "Hey, two streets down, there's a dude from Styx, man. He's in my neighborhood." I go, "Did you throw shit at his house?" So much I hate him, Don't wanna be a blue collar man. Remember that shit? I hate Styx.
I'm not a fan. Come Sail Away. I know
Sail Away, yeah.
I walked in on you like listening to that singing at one time
dude.
when you were painting.
Right, yeah.
All right, now let's
my
move
banana hammock.
Let's move on to the Nuge. Now I know you like the early.
I love
Nuge,
Ted, yeah.
But Cat Scratch Fever came out that year. What's up with that?
Sell out.
What was so sellout about it?
Cat Scratch Fever.
I know the song sucks.
Cat Scratch Fever. And the next song was like, I killed a beaver. I killed a beaver. I mean, every song just totally sucked. He's just sold out big time. Anything after like Ted Nugent, in my opinion,
sucks.
It sucks. All right. I mean, Ted, if you're listening, man, I love you to death. And, but I mean, I like Toothfang and Claw. I like the Amboy Dukes and Ted Nugent. But after that,
he's kind of douchey now.
I love Ted Nugent, but I don't like that crap.
I know you're a big
gun advocate. Yeah.
No, well, besides that, but Alice Cooper, like.
I like Alice Cooper, dude.
He's a dick. Like now, I'm saying he's just douchey to me. Same with Ted Nugent. Like, I kill all my breakfast. Like, cool, dude. Like,
does he?
He's that guy.
Oh,
no disrespect to guys that are hunters or whatever, but I ain't into that shit.
I ain't never killed my breakfast.
Me either. But he's that guy.
I tried to kill someone who cooked a shitty breakfast.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. We plead the fifth. All right, let's move on to Foreigner. Feels like the first time. That had to have been the jam that summer.
Yeah, it was all over the radio. It was either that, then you change the channel because you hated it, and then you got that Fleetwood Mac crap. So it's either or.
I thought you liked Fleetwood Mac rumors.
I don't at all. Hated it. I put it on for like a chick would like it.
Yeah.
And that there was a little drive around thing to set the mood type thing at the YNW.
At the YNW.
But I don't like it. I guess Fleetwood Mac had some good stuff before they had the chicks in the group. Because it was like an evolving group. But Rumors sold 18 billion copies, and I didn't buy one.
I remember Mom listening to that a lot. When I was a kid.
That's right. She did.
She did. She was a big
Not when
fan.
I'm at home.
All right, now let's move on to your murals, man.
Oh yeah, I'm a mural guy. I love to do it. That's my passion. I got 4 years to go till I retire. That's all I'm going to do. If you see in the background there, the Musically Meditated, I did that mural. I could do anything you want me to do, and it might take a little bit, but man, I just love to do it. And you get the Joe Riley personal touch, and also 25% of every proceed goes to the dog pound.
Oh, cool.
So I'll always give to the dog pound because I'm a dog guy. I'm an animal guy, and I love music and I love to draw. Kind of like doing the music stuff, but I'll do anything, anywhere, anytime, as big as you want, as small as you want, and like I said, 25% goes to the dogs.
Cool. You started that when you did the GUEA thing, right? Is that when it started? The Gary Urban, what was it? Gary Urban Enterprise Association, and you were a teacher, and you would teach your trade, which was
my trade was painting and decorating, and I teach them how to do every part of the trade, spraying, hanging vinyl, painting, cutting and roll, any drywall, all that. And at the end, we'd always do a mural and anything they wanted to do. If you went to that school where it's still it's empty, all the walls are murals, whatever they wanted to do. And we did giant ones, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, because it kind of makes it fun, right? It's like, hey, I'm learning this trade.
And that was the payoff, because the end, you didn't have to clean paintbrushes and stuff, and everybody picked the one they wanted to do, and then they all did it together. It brought everyone together. They liked it, and then the end product was something that's going to last forever.
Forever. Hey, I did this.
Yeah, and my name's on the bottom. I have pictures of everything, and man, I give a shout out to the GUEA. It was a great concept, and man, I'd like to do a mural for you.
Cool, man.
Anybody.
Yeah, you also have done stuff at your job now, and you've done things for at home, and everybody should check it out. What I'm going to do, and you're going to do too, is I know we'll start off with Instagram, but have a Big Joe Murals Instagram page and have pictures of all the different murals you've done. We did Jane Doe from Converge, but that was you.
Cool, yeah.
The Misfits skull.
Right.
We
Some comic strip stuff,
comic
like
stuff.
Lobo. If anyone heard of Lobo, I did the original Hulk, 38
60 something, or yeah.
way back when, and yeah, I just love to paint, and I'm not the best, but you're never going to get any better.
No, I think it always looks great. Everybody could see this behind. You always do put your own touch on it for sure.
Right? Yeah, I love it, man. That, like I said, I got 4 years to go to retirement, and after I retire, that's all I'm going to do.
So now people can reach out to us on the particular page, and you could set something up, or do you want to do that?
Well, I'm not too good on the computer, but
I'll help you out.
Yeah, Joey will help me out on that one.
Yeah, I'll set a page up because we talked about this on the other episode with the ticket stubs.
Yeah, I'd love to. I actually haven't done anything for anybody, really. Anything I've ever done for somebody else, I just give it to them. But now I'd like to get a few bucks for it so I can give to the dogs.
Okay, cool, man. Well, Dad, thanks for coming out. 1977 was the year. We went over it.
It was a lot of fun, man.
It was a lot of fun.
I love the show. I love being on here. It's my second time, and you make me feel comfortable, bro.
Good. We'll do this again. We'll maybe do a different year.
78 tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
79? We're just going to go every day. We're going to do a different year.
Or we could just flip it, or you could do...
I could ask you questions about your year.
My year.
Yeah.
99 was cool. We've talked about it on here before. But yeah, we'll have you on again. Everybody check out at Big Joe Murals. I'll start an Instagram page and have all the pictures. And if you are interested for your business, for your home, whatever you want, he can do the logo. The work speaks for itself. So just slide into the direct messages.
Right, yeah.
And that's about it. We'll just do it all Instagram based so we could check it out. But yeah, like I said, the work speaks for itself. So thanks, Dad. Thanks for coming out.
Hey, have a great weekend and have an awesome Easter.
Yeah, everybody, happy Easter, happy everything. Remember to subscribe to Musically Meditated Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. Subscribe. Everybody have a good weekend. Adios. I'm Musically Meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated.
Producer my ass over there.